Ahead of the next meeting of the India Opposition Alliance, there is serious turmoil in the Delhi Congress unit. Sandeep Dikshit and Alka Lamba are among those who are speaking out against this partnership. I'm Barkha Dutt, here with the Mojo story. Just when it seemed as if the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress had reached some agreement, with the Congress supporting Mr. Kejriwal and his government on the issue of the Delhi ordinance, there is now a sort of open rebellion among Delhi's Congress leaders. Alka Lamba first declared that the Congress would contest all 7 seats. When the Aam Aadmi Party protested, then you had the Congress officially distancing itself from that statement. But among the most vociferous critics of this partnership and of Arvind Kejriwal is Sandeep Dikshit, Congress leader, but also son of the former Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit. Let's go across now to Sandeep Dikshit. Let's welcome him to this interview as we look at the turmoil, whether he speaks only for himself or he also speaks for a larger sentiment within the Delhi Congress and how he thinks his own party might respond to that. Now, Sandeep, you have used all sorts of language and words for describing the Aam Aadmi Party. You've said they're like geethers, they're like mice, चूहे जैसे हैं. What is precisely making you extremely agitated at this point that you're basically stepping out of line with your own party's position?
No, first of all, I think there is no specified line of the National Party. We've not been told whether there's going to be a grander alliance or not. All that we know is that in the state level, they are a party we oppose. There are party whose work and whose kind of politics we oppose. There are party whose style of politics right from 2012, 2013 is something we are vehemently against. And some of us, I don't know the numbers within the Congress, but some of us feel that much of the decline that has happened in the standards of Indian polity and politics is something that really started with the first India Against Corruption campaign and with the way and style of Arvind Kejriwal and his politics. So we maintain that if there is a change of line and if there is a demand or a thinking on the national level, that for a greater battle or a bigger battle or a more important battle, which is the national elections of 2024, we might need to do things a little differently. We might need to have partners who are separate. Sometimes partners with whom on the state level we may not have the same, I would say, level of bonhomie of friendship. That's okay. But let the senior leadership decide that. All that I can say is that they've had a number of meetings with us, sometimes individually, sometimes as groups. They've expressed their point of view, we've expressed our point of view. But I'll just make one small point, Barkhaji, before we get in. This whole controversy about Alka Lamba, I think, is a needless controversy because, frankly speaking, in that meeting in which some of our leaders met, Mr. Kharge and some of the other senior leaders like Rahulji, the issue of the alliance was never even discussed. All that Alka Lamba said is, that so do we do 7 चुनाव में तैयारी, 7 Lok Sabha में तैयारी. Taiyari is something very, very different. At least to a political person like me, this word means that you prepare yourself for the coming elections. And obviously, any serious party that thinks it has a stake in any state will prepare in all the 7. We're not a regional party of Delhi. We are not like, say, in one part of Uttar Pradesh. And if we don't prepare ourselves for all 7, even if we are to get into an alliance, how do we help our alliance friend? Let's take my constituency East Delhi. Suppose I get landed, not that I'm going to get it. Suppose they give me a seat in East Delhi and say you fight in an alliance, and I've not prepared myself in these 6 months. And people will ask me, where were you? On the other hand, if it goes to Aam Aadmi's, so say for example, if we have an alliance with them, and Congress is not prepared itself, we won't be a meaningful partner in that alliance. So I don't think there was anything wrong, she said.
So what really leaps out to me from what you've just said is you've said अभी तक कोई फैसला नहीं हुआ है on an alliance, but फिर India alliance क्या है? The India alliance is clearly a larger meta grouping of all the non-BJP forces, right? Now, given that Kejriwal basically had said before the last meeting of the India alliance that if you don't support us on the ordinance, we're not going to show up for that meeting. Last moment, the Congress support came. When you say today that the central leadership has not conveyed a larger partnership with Kejriwal, is it still your impression that the Aam Aadmi Party is not a national ally, or are you saying it might be a national ally but it's not going to be a state ally or a city ally?
See, it will be a national ally in the sense that in Delhi we may or may not have an alliance with them. It's not that they are in 40 or 50 or 10 or 15 or 20 states. Okay. And all alliances, and that is the case with all alliances throughout the history of alliances right from the 1960s and 70s, including with Atal Bihari and the UPA. Alliances are state to state. I think that everybody agrees. Okay. For example, if we have an alliance with Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, obviously we don't have an alliance with them in Odisha or in Telangana or in Tamil Nadu. So when these state to state discussions happen, that is when the real picture for an alliance will come through. See, 70 to 80% of the states have already been figured out. TMK is Tamil Nadu is figured out, Kerala is figured out, Maharashtra is figured out, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, we know what is happening. Many of the other states are figured out. Some states are almost figured out, like Uttar Pradesh. You can say with some level of confidence that SP and Congress will get into alliance, and to maybe a lesser degree of confidence that maybe Congress and Aam Aadmi Party will come together in Delhi. But what are the details? How many seats will they fight? How many seats will we fight? Which of those seats will the BJP take, or Aam Aadmi take? Which are those seats will Congress take? Once we come down to those, obviously our central leadership will talk to us. They will talk to them. There's always an issue whether the deal is a fair deal also. And I suppose fair deal to both parties. Let me be non-partisan here. So it has to be a fair deal with regard to numbers and to seats. Once that happens, we will see. As of today, we have not been spoken about this alliance. We know that alliance may be on the cards clearly. We also read the same newspaper. We also hear what's happening at the India alliance. It's not that we don't know what's happening, but it is also our duty. I say my being critical of the Aam Aadmi Party has been continuous for 8 or 9 years. Suddenly, people have started talking about it because it's in reflection to the National Alliance. What I'm saying today about the Aam Party is nothing new. I've been saying this for 7, 8 years. It's not that I have.
No, I think it becomes significant today because it seems somewhat out of step with where the central leadership seems to be moving. So let me ask you this: you said, in a forest there can be lions and elephants and tigers, and then there are geethers. और ये जो आम आदमी पार्टी है, ये तो गीदड़ से भी ज़्यादा खराब है. I'm paraphrasing you. Why are you so repulsed, for lack of a better word?
No, I'm not repulsed. I just find their politics to be fairly pathetic.
Explain.
Look at they started with a spew of lies, right? They started with this spew of the most vile comments about anybody and everybody. They did not have an iota of proof about anybody. So basically, they lied through their teeth. They don't have any morals with regard to what they say about people in a party, right? Look at the fact who's really started using this whole thing. See, all of us are worried about the misuse of patriotism and nationalism in politics. Who is the one who first brought the national flag onto the streets? I think it is the Aam Aadmi Party. They basically cheapened the national flag and made it as to a political comment. Who were the people who went onto the streets and say, lynch the corrupt, kill the corrupt, hang the people? In many senses, you almost started justifying lynching onto the streets. At that time, you were justifying lynching of the corrupt or lynching of the people who were raped in that horrific Nirbhaya incident. But fact is, you start setting trends that are very, very dangerous. Because you got a particular popular image. Obviously, at that time, he and Anna and all were considered these great leaders, very, very moral and very, very honest. I think they started setting a trend. Frankly speaking, Modi only caught on to that trend and used some of those things. So I think their politics is dangerous. Look at the fact that you may remember the statement of saying that we use Lakshmi and Ganesh on Indian notes, right? I mean, if somebody is really a believer in the Indian Constitution and says openly that it is not the Hindutva kind of Hindu Raj that he is talking about, can that person seriously make a statement like this? Can a person who believes in scientific temper actually make a statement like this? Problem is when people who are taken seriously start using these kind of symbols or start changing their stance at any point of time just because they may get a few more votes here and there. It means, and that to me is the most dangerous, that they are not just immoral people, they are amoral people. And therefore, I find their style of that, according to me, I find their style of politics and their thinking of politics to be extremely dangerous. I hope I'm proved wrong, but that is what my firm belief is.
So not just immoral, but amoral. You're basically suggesting that the BJP or the Modi BJP playbook and the Arvind Kejriwal playbook you find similar.
I don't find too many differences. The scale is different. Obviously, BJP comes with a very different baggage. So what they do is far more powerful. It's like if a country is attacked by the Russian army and if a country is attacked by the Bangladeshi army. So the Bangladeshi army can do only so much damage. the USSR, or the Russian army can do far, far more. BJP is a bigger party. Its ideological dislike and hatred has been far more amongst people. It has an RSS to back it. Aam Aadmi Party does not have that. But if I still remember what happened on the streets of Delhi at that point of time, okay, I don't have a problem somebody loses. Many people ask me, is there an angst against Aam Aadmi Party? Obviously, there will be a personal angst. Anybody will have an angst. I lose, my mother loses, everybody on the streets called us all kinds of names. Incidentally, I'm still waiting for those 360 pages that Arvind Kejriwal seemed to be flashing around, all ready to put me behind bars. Forget that. So angst is always there, but it's not just that. Things change. 10 years is a long period. My thing is the danger that they are bringing in. You remember this whole game that's, let me be very, very frank with you. Look at the new thing that's happening in India. Everybody is fighting with each other for greater benefits. You give 1,000 rupees, I'll give 1,500. You give 2,000, I'll give 3,000. Is this governance? Is this economic development? Is this growth? I can understand some relief. Who has really set this agenda? Who's put this, as they say, cat amongst the pigeons? So when you get into this kind of absolutely crass, populism, and BJP is doing it equally. All those Samman Yojanas of theirs are nothing. It's just shouted in very, very nice words, but they're all doing the same. So I consider that these people have actually dirtied India's politics and the frame, and therefore we must try and at least keep out of that as much as possible. If this alliance can somehow change them, I'll be very happy.
Have you conveyed your opinion? Of course, you've expressed it in public, but have you conveyed it at party forums to Mallikarjun Kharge, to Rahul Gandhi?
I don't have access to party forums. I'm sad to say so, but
you don't have access to your party leaders.
I've met them personally, and when I meet people personally, I don't use it to talk political. So I've not been. Once or twice I've been called to tell how Congress should be strengthened, but these are not issues when you talk Congress to be strengthened. It needs time to be taken. Some sundry leaders have asked me my points of view, but I've not got that platform, and that's okay. That's for the senior leadership to decide. I think they believe that.
But when you say you don't have access to party forums, you basically means your party is sidelining you.
I've always said that. There's nothing new in it. Very often when people on TV say senior Congress leader, I keep telling them, I'm neither senior nor a leader. I'm a Congress person. So I'm very, very clear. And it's for the party to decide to keep you on the margins or not. But it's perfectly their decision.
My question to you is, do you speak therefore only for yourself, or do you speak, you think, for a larger sentiment in the Delhi Congress?
Look, if you take the workers of the Congress, I think I represent an overwhelming number of the Congress workers. Okay? And that includes field level leaders. What some of the other leaders may be thinking, I'm not very sure, but I know that some of the senior leaders or senior leaders, I would say, in terms of number of years spent in politics. Some of them also resonate what I'm saying is, but Barkha, there's another thing. For example, I also, I'm not saying taken a step back, but paused because I realized that 2024 is a battle more than just Delhi. Okay? And therefore, I know that there may be at times imperatives and things that will happen. We will pick back our fight once 2024 is over. But all I want is that we must be very, very clear that, if these parties come on to a grander alliance in which Congress is a member, right, they have to understand and they have to follow the Congress's brand of politics much more than their brand of politics.
Yeah.
So there are people in the Congress who, sorry.
I was going to ask you, you've also suggested that, while full statehood for Delhi was an old demand, you're having a rethink on that. Why is that?
Yes. See, when I first became a member of parliament in 2004, I was also quite excited about the fact that Delhi should get a full statehood. But I think my 10 years as an MP, I'm seeing my Mrs. Dixit operate as the chief minister here. I think things changed. Look, there are certain things, and when we found Government of India, being an MP, I found the working of the Government of India, and obviously being from the Congress, seeing the Delhi government work. When I saw these two things working, I started realizing that no, Delhi cannot be a state-controlled unit. It has to be a central and a union-controlled unit. The primary control has to be with the union government, and it is not done badly for Delhi. Frankly speaking, let me put this. Delhi actually has always been a pampered city. We've got far more money, far more facilities than many other states, and that's okay. All capitals are pampered. All capitals get better development than others. In the past, it has done us well. Nobody can say that ever since the city government came up in 2013, we have not done that well. We have done fairly well. Some governments have done better than others. Some may not have done better than others. And according to me, this whole so having changed my point of view from a full statehood, see, there are certain details that can be changed. Like I feel that the traffic police could be given to Delhi government. I mean, but these are minor things. So there could be some of these changes. You could take a relook at the subjects which are with one government or the other. Maybe you could bring in some streamlining of the system. But the same system has worked. Where is it that it has not worked?
So to that extent, do you agree with the Modi government's ordinance on Delhi?
Look, I think what it is the style and the manner in which Modi government brought in that ordinance, which was not correct. I think they should have spoken to Delhi government, but I think the system that they were putting in place is not something that is going to damage.
So you agree with what the ordinance sets out to do in terms of the
I always said that. I always said that. I said in the distribution of powers, right? What the system that they brought in is in. What I am saying is, according to my thinking, it is in consonance with the constitutional structure for Delhi. See, what many people are doing is comparing a union territory to a state. And we are not a state. If you say, should Delhi become a state, if everybody agrees that Delhi should be a state or more like a state than a union territory, fine. Then this ordinance is wrong. But in the current structures, my thing is, if you really think this is happening, then bring a constitutional amendment, no? Change the status of Delhi. No problem with that. You do that, I do that. I have my own Congress, You bring that. We didn't bring it in 10 years. So obviously there is a reason why you didn't bring it in 10 years, and you don't have to be apologetic about it. I think you took a considered step that no, beyond this file, Delhi government will not get power. So ultimately, the primacy will remain with the government of India.
You don't agree with the way the ordinance was foisted. You believe it should have come through Parliament via a constitutional amendment.
Yes, that also it could have happened through discussion. You see, for example, Aam Aadmi Party is a stakeholder in Delhi. However minor, Congress is a stakeholder in Delhi. If government of India wanted to change what the Supreme Court had brought in, at least have discussions with everybody. Call us over. We will give our suggestions. BJP is not the only stakeholder in Delhi. But what they do at times is, so I think that was undemocratic. On the other hand, what they were trying to put in through the ordinance, according to me, is roughly in the spirit of the 1993 Act, which incidentally also the Congress brought.
Okay, that's interesting that you actually think that that what the BJP seeks to do is the same as what the Congress once did. It's the way they did it that you have a problem with. Now, let me ask you in the end, if your mother, Sheila Dikshit, three-time Chief Minister of Delhi, were alive today and there was talk of an alliance or a seat adjustment with the Aam Aadmi Party, how do you think she might have reacted?
Well, knowing her, she would have always done what the senior party asked her. She was a very different kind of a person. What her person, she would have said that we don't have an alliance, and I think she was proved quite right last time when we didn't have an alliance, because we suddenly became the number 2 party in Delhi, and even our combined votes would not have made us win. But if she had lived on, my personal belief is we would have got astoundingly different results in the election. And some of the surveys we had done while she was alive, it's something Kejriwal will never believe, but I think it would have given him 9 wins. But that's okay. That's a story that's over. I think if she was here, she would probably have listened to the central leadership. And going by the fact that the experience of the last 9 years, especially the last 5 years or 4 years, have shown that everything has to be done to at least get this brand of politics of Modi and BJP out now. And we need to change for the benefit of the people of India, for our democracy and for our constitution. Now that there is a far bigger battle that we are fighting, I believe she would have decided whatever the India alliance would decide. What they decide, how they decide, I think I'm leaving it to the senior leaders. But I think in that sense, probably had a far greater heart and mind than almost every other leader, either from Delhi or otherwise.
That would be my concluding question. Suppose the party, the central leadership, does go ahead in a direction that agitates you very much because you think you have said the AAP's politics are pathetic, they're dangerous, they're worse than Geethers. Suppose the party proceeds with a national understanding as well as a seat adjustment in Delhi. Will you remain in the Congress? Would you look for other options?
Look, Congress is my party, so there is no issue of how do I give up my party? I consider myself, frankly speaking, more loyal to the Congress than perhaps anybody else. And I don't care what other people say about this. I know there's a lots of talk that keeps happening. Every 3 months, somebody congratulates me for having joined the BJP. So
I know.
nice, at least,
I know. There's a whole bunch. I mean, if you Google Sandeep Dikshit, there's a whole bunch of articles suggesting that you've got 1 foot out of the door on the way to the BJP.
Yeah, I think it feels that BJP probably wants me more than the Congress wants me.
Have you got feelers from the BJP?
Well, let's not get into that. Yes,
no. Hang on.
Very serious discussions. But there, I don't blame. See, but my thing is,
can I interrupt you? You are saying you have had serious discussions with the BJP about possibly joining the BJP.
But there have been serious failures that have come. Whether they've been authorized by the top people or not, I can't say that. So I said, let's not get into this. And any party would like to poach anybody good from any other party. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's your character whether you want to join any other party or not. If somebody wants you to join, it's like for many people, politics is more a profession than a commitment. So it's like those when the clubs come and offer you more money, you jump from one club to another and play for another club the next season. So that's okay. But all I can say is once the party decides and once the party tells us that, suppose they say that okay, we are going in for an alliance, then for us, as far as the national issues are concerned, we will all be together. I hope the national issues that the Congress is espousing about also happens. But then there are some other things I want Aam Aadmi Party also to consider. Do they seriously think that the party they blamed for the kind of corruption that happened in either 2G or Commonwealth or coal is a party worth aligning with, or have they changed their point of view? I think that's the question they need. Somebody has to ask them. Remember, at one time they had said that everything can be kept apart and not corruption. So either they were wrong then or they are wrong today. I think that's a question they must at least introspect about.
Those are fair questions for the Congress to raise to the Aam Aadmi Party, but I must push you that when you say there have been serious feelers to join the BJP, what did you say in return in these discussions?
No, nothing. Feelers come, they ask you if you're willing. Sometimes when I make statements that are not fully in consonance with the national politics, I think it's fair enough for them to poke and find out. They feel that I'm not perhaps very comfortable here. So I don't blame them. All that I tell them is no. I mean, I'm happy where I am. That's all. I think.
Well, would you think? Would you think about it?
No.
No.
I'm unfortunately too damn much of a Congress person to think of this.
Okay.
I mean, for example, for me, let me be very clear. My hero is Nehru. How can I join a party that abuses him day and night? There is no way.
All right. I think we're both too old to know that there's never say never in politics, right? Like I think we're both too old for that. But nevertheless, for now.
But there are certain things called lifelong love. And for me, I think Congress and there is a lifelong love.
All right. Thank you, Sandeep. It's been an interesting conversation. Let's see what happens in this space. Thank you very much for talking to us. Take care. Thank you.
And
yeah. Sorry. Hang on. We can't hear you. Go ahead.
I love Mojo. So it's really good. In fact, Barkha, I like you much more now, and I think you're contributing and doing much more than your glorious years in NDT. I mean, they were great years, but really, I haven't got a chance to say so. All the best.
I have to say that I'm happier now than I was as well. So maybe that's what shows. Thank you so much, Sandeep. And thanks. Please keep watching the Mojo Stories, both Sandeep Dikshit and all of you. Thanks, Sandeep. And thank you to our audience. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.